5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Full House MMA. Just a little bit of post-fight talk. The Bobby Green and Islam fight last night was not quite what I think we were all hoping to see, although pretty accurate to what we may have expected to see. I was hoping it would go a little longer. It would be more of an entertaining main event, and I was hoping that it would make it out of the first round. However, it did not. So can we chalk this up to that's just how good Islam is, or that Bobby Green was just not ready for this challenge, or that Bobby Green only took this fight on 10 days notice? What are the real reasons that we saw what we saw in the main event last night? And was this a good move for Bobby or a bad move? Now, I did a video when I first found out that Bobby was going to be taking this fight about whether I didn't know if this was a good move for him and in terms of his future with the UFC. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. This video is going to be really quick. So the fight did not get out of the first round. I did a pre-fight analysis of this, and it pretty much took place exactly how I expected it to take place. Bobby unfortunately got a little too close to that fence, and I said that one of the most important things was going to be for him to use movement, lateral movement, make sure that he did not get his back too close to that fence. Bobby is a good striker, but he's one of those guys that he doesn't move a lot. He doesn't use a lot of lateral left and right sort of movements. He kind of stands right there, either in the pocket or just a little bit outside of the range of the pocket. But, that's more effective if you're going up against another striker. If you're going against someone who is content to stand and strike with you, then, you're pretty safe to stand right there in the edge of the pocket. And, he's good with the shoulder rolls and his head movement and all those things. So that works for him when he's up against other strikers. Islam is a grappler by trade. I'm not saying he's not a striker at all. His biggest threat is the grappling. So with that, I felt like Bobby Green needed to change the way he moved somewhat in that octagon, which he obviously did not do. He was still kind of standing there, within the shooting range of Islam. And, the shooting range of a grappler is from a lot further out than the striking range of a striker. A guy can shoot for your legs and for your body from way further out than a guy can catch you with a strike or even a kick, for that matter. Which is why I thought that it was very important that Bobby moved a lot. Got too close to the fence. Islam pushed him up against the fence, and it looked like for a minute that Bobby was going to be able to get away from him. And that chain wrestling of Islam just really showed its head, and he was going from one transition to another till he finally dropped his level once again from the body to the legs. And once he clasped those hands around the back of the legs of Bobby, it was just kind of all over at that point. And once he hit the ground, I kind of felt like we were at the beginning of the end of that fight, and that is exactly what turned out to happen. I did give Bobby a little bit more credit for that. I thought it was going to be more of a competitive match than what it was, but it is what it is. So what does this mean for Bobby? Well, there's flip sides to this same coin, and on one side of it, you can look at it as, Bobby's a savage, man. He took this fight on 10 days notice. He did not have a full training camp. So in terms of, looking at his performance and, how he was dominated in this fight, he can always point to that and use that as kind of an excuse. Well, hey, man, I didn't have time to prepare for this. I weighed 195 pounds when I got the call. I did not have time to game plan or set up for fighting Islam specifically. So he can always point to that as a reason as to why his performance wasn't the greatest. But then on the flip side of the coin, when you look at the performance and how dominant Islam was over Bobby Green, in my mind, whether he had a full camp or not, you're just looking at two completely different caliber of fighters, Islam literally made it look easy once he took Bobby to the ground. So I kind of feel like Bobby would have to just become a completely different fighter. So I think that Bobby is somewhat forgiven for, it's the last fight of his contract. He needed to make some money for his family, so he took the fight. He did the best he could on 10 days notice. But in spite of that, I think we saw that there's a pretty large gap between, Bobby Green and then those guys that are at the very, very top of the division. And, in his defense, Islam may be the best guy in the division. He's certainly starting to look that way. I mean, you still have a few guys, Gagey and, Oliveira, of course, the champ, that are ahead of him in the ranks. But, of course, Islam has not faced them. And I've been watching MMA since 1993, and I'm fully anticipating Islam to be the champ probably by the end of 2022. I don't think Oliveira or Gagey is going to be able to beat them. So as far as what Bobby Green's loss means for Bobby Green last night, that one's kind of tough to assess because maybe, if he wasn't up against such a strong grappler and sambo guy, maybe he could still contend with and compete with some of those, upper echelon elite guys in the top of the lightweight division. So, as far as whether it hurt Bobby or whether it helped Bobby, I don't think it did much either way, to be honest with you. I'm sure the UFC is appreciative because he kind of saved that card. And I got to be honest, man, he did a wonderful job of selling the fight. I mean, Bobby Green, much like Conor back in the day, he had me believing he could get this thing done, man. I mean, his attitude, his confidence, he's just seeping confidence going into this fight. So I think he had everybody kind of, never know, man. He's, Bobby Mike can get this done, but he was selling the fight, and he did a great job selling the fight. But we saw what the actuality was when he got in there last night, and just the difference in the caliber of the grappler was completely obvious. And so I think on one hand it raised Bobby's stock a little bit, but then on the flip side of the coin, I don't think it did anything to raise his stock, because he didn't have a very good showing of himself. I was hoping he would at least be able to stay on his feet a little longer. I felt like if he would have had somewhat of a different sort of game plan and would have, again, been moving a lot more lateral movement, circling out and keeping his back away from that cage, I feel like he could have at least made it more competitive, made the fight go a little longer, kind of popping in, landing a couple strikes, and then, circling out either to the right or to his left. He didn't do any of that, and he ended up getting taken down pretty early in the fight. And I said in my pre-fight analysis that if a clinch situation happens at all, I feel like it's just going to be the beginning of the end from there. And that's exactly what happened. One clinch, one takedown, and one finish is what we saw. So I guess it remains to be seen kind of, what this did for Bobby's career, if it hurt his career or helped his career, being in the spotlight and taking this big fight on short notice. I think it's pretty safe to say he's a company man, and he's going to, he's that kind of guy, anyone, anywhere, anytime. And, that's not always a bad thing. You've got those guys like that, those Donald Cerrone, those Nate Diaz's, those Dan Hookers, all of these guys that are they're always gonna come in there and make it as entertaining as they can. They're always gonna show up to fight, do the best they can, but you can't always expect them to win against the top guys. And I think that as of last night, Bobby Green kind of fell into that same category. So I still love Bobby Green, man. He's a firecracker. I mean, he's fun to watch, especially in his, pre-fight interviews and the face-offs and stuff like that. He really knows how to, light up the stage and make things exciting. But I think we saw he's not really ready to be up there in the, top 5 of this division. And at his age, he may never be. But looking forward to see what's next for Islam. All credit to him. He went in there and did what he had to do. I wish it could have been Dariush, and hopefully Dariush will get healed up and he'll get a chance to get him another fight in there. And I think he might end up, to be honest, facing Islam as a title challenger at some point here soon. So I'll be looking forward to that, because I was really wanting to see that Dariush Islam fight. It was a little bit upset that fight wasn't able to happen. But anyway, that's what I got, guys. Appreciate you watching. And if you like the content, please subscribe. See you next time.
Make it trendy, we look sexy. Here we go, making really on, getting icy zone, flexing.